In the last class, I discussed with you regarding the super computers and mainframe computers. After that, I'm going to discuss with you 2.2, which is the system software. So we are going to start here for today from the chapter 2. So first of all, for this part, system softwares are basically the programs that are designed to maintain or operate the computer system. And they are known as your system software. These are the software that operates the computer hardware is known as the operating system. System software means that softwares that are needed to operate a computer system. So for example, you can say like Windows, you can say Mac. So these are the programs that are designed to maintain your computer system, like you can work with it. So if you have an operating system, that means that it is going to manage your hardware within a computer system. That means that when your computer is being turned on and after the basic input and output system BIOS has loaded, the operating system is basically the first piece of software that will load. So this is basically the one that sits between your application software and manages any communication between the two of them. So right here, as you can see that this is your operating system. So it sits in between your application system and hardware, and it creates a connection between them. So an operating system manages your hardware by carrying out tasks. By carrying out tasks such as like what are the some features of your operating system or the responsibilities or duties. So first of all, it is like allocating memory to the software, or you can say that sending data and instructions to your output devices, responding to input devices such as when a key is being pressed, or opening and closing files on storage devices, giving each running task a fair share of processor time, sending error messages. So if there's a question about the functions, you can relate to them. First function is allocating memory to software. This means that when you are working with a computer system and you have a software, so you have your memory. With the help of it, you can allocate different drives. Like you have C drive, you have D drive, you have E drive, and so on. At the same time, you can also send data and instructions as well to your output device as well, and it also responds to it to your input devices when a key is being pressed. So whenever you press a key, your computer operates with the help of an operating system, and it also works like when you are opening and closing files on your storage devices. It also gives you enough time to take a fair share of the processor time as well, and it also deals with the user login, security, and error messages or status messages as well. So these are some functions of an operating system. Within the operating system, I have device drivers as well. You might have seen that at any time whenever I connect any device, you might seen that there's a pop-up onto the computer system that either the device drivers are completely installed or they require installing. So device drivers are basically the one that enables your computer to establish the communication between the device and the computer. So it's like if you are working with a printer, so first thing you need to do is that is you need to install the device drivers so that they can manage all the instructions that you need to deal with that specific hardware. Like for example, if you want to display graphics on a screen, it will require you a device driver to deal with it. So a device driver is basically a software that comes with external hardware component and sends the instructions to the specific components as well. So you can see in this chart, like this is your application, this is the hardware, and this is your device drivers and operating system. Now, after that, we also have the examples of translators. Do you have any idea regarding compilers, interpreters?
Yes, sir.
Hmm? No?
Yes, sir, I do.
Oh, you
No,
know?
sir, I do.
Okay, can you give me the
Yes, sir,
different?
compiler translator program. for like a high level language into a machine code, which can make it like understand it.
Okay. So basically, we use translators. This is like programs written in high level language, and if we want to convert it. So first of all, we have the compiler part. So compiler is the one which converts your high level language into executable machine files. But the only difference between compiler and interpreter is that when it comes to a compiler, like you upload your program source file, it goes to the compiler, it produces an executable file that can be executed by the CPU, as well as uh, all of your code is compiled at one go. There are three stages in the compilation process. The first stage is the lexical analysis. The second stage is syntax analysis. The third stage is code generation. Do you know about these stages in compiler?
No, sir.
Okay, so the basic concept for compiler should be clear to you. Like we have discussed this. Whenever there's a compiler, it is going to convert the source code into an executable file, which can be distributed to the resellers, customers, and individuals. And as it is an executable file, it can run on operating system as well, like this. So it has three stages. The first stage is the lexical analysis. Second stage is the syntax analysis, and the third stage is your code generation. For in the first part, which is the lexical analysis, what happens is that any white space or any comment will be removed and the code will be broken down into small tokens. Each token will represent a keyword, mainly a constant, identifier, string number, or operator. Like for example, in Python, the following code displays the value to the screen, like print hello plus 49. So if I'm going to work with the lexical analysis, the first thing is that it is going to break it down into tokens like this. So you can see what happens in the lexical analysis is that the structure of your program will be analyzed to check that it satisfies the syntax of the programming language or not. To check this, it is divided into set of tokens which is going to be analyzed separately. Your constant identifiers are going to be matched. They are going to check that if it satisfies the equation or not. Then after the syntax lexical analysis, I have syntax analysis, and after syntax analysis, I have the code generation. Let me rephrase it again. First of all, in lexical analysis, any white space or comment will be removed and your code will be broken down into tokens. Then in the second stage is syntax analysis. In syntax analysis, it's syntax is going to be checked against your program. Then you have the final stage, which is known as code generation. So this is when your source code is converted into a machine code for the target machine type. So different machine type requires different machine codes as well. Then I have the second part, which is interpreter. So interpreters also translate a program written in a high level language, which can be converted into machine code, but it uses a different method that says that instead of translating the whole program at once, that happens in compiler, it translates one line at a time, one by a line, one by one, which can be less efficient than a compiler because it requires a lot of time. So if it is an interpreter, that means that it translates, executes high level programming one line at a time. So here is the comparison chart between your compiler and interpreter. I can say that compiler translates source code into object code, and compiled object code will only work on the operating system if it has been compiled for. Object code is ready to be executed. Without execution, compiling can take a long time. Whereas when it comes to interpreters, translator source code into object code one line at a time, which is going to take time. Source code can be translated into objects. Object code has to be generated. Only the required code needs to be interpreted. Then I have the last part for this, which is known as the linkers. So what are linkers? Linkers is when you have several modules of programs. You need to understand that whenever we are working with computer programs and whenever we wish to create a piece of software, so that's why it is like divided into different parts of your computer modules. And when you want to link all of those parts of your program together, you use a linker. So what a linker do is that it basically consists of several modules. Each module carries out a specific task and each module will have compiled into a separate object file. So this is the function of a linker. Now, let me share with you some questions of this for compilers, interpreters, so you can practice it after my class. So 9626. Here is the example question. I have question number one that says that take the most accurate statements about compiler and linker. Can you give me the answer for this part?
Sir, I think the first and the third statements are
Mhm.
most accurate.
This is the question and this is the answer. Here is one another question which I think you can do it easily. I have also shared this with you. Okay. Okay, this is a question. This is for 6 marks. They say that Joseph has written a program using high level language. He now needs to get it translated for the use on his computer. Compare and contrast the use of compiler with an interpreter for this purpose. So you need to contrast both of them. This one is really easy, so I'm just sharing the sample questions and the answer with you, so you can do it. You can write it from here that compiler interpreter both converts high level to lower level, and then compiler converts the high level into machine language. However, interpreter converts the high level to some intermediately forms as well. So you need to compare both of them. I have sent you this. Okay, here is one another question. Describe the role of compiler. Describe the role of linker. This is 2024. Okay, let's go ahead. I have the 2.3. 2.3 is known as the utility softwares. Do you know about utility softwares?
So it helps the maintenance of the computer system. For example, antivirus backup, test,
Mhm.
yeah.
So utility softwares are one that provides some sort of maintenance on your computer system. Like if I ask you about what are the utilities at your home, you will respond like electricity, food, water, like these are your basic utilities. Now, why do I need utility softwares onto a computer system? The answer is that I want to process my uh, I need to process my action. I need to process my work. Without the utility softwares, I won't be able to take the full advantage of that. So utility softwares basically does not include your operating system, but some pre-installed software that comes with under this operating system might comes under it. So utility softwares are the softwares that perform some sort of maintenance on the computer system. Like for example, I have antivirus. So antivirus is used like to deals with the viruses to prevent you from threats. Like I have adware, I have a spyware. So the basic function is to monitor for viruses and eliminate them. I have the backup as well. We use this for creating the second copy of data that is in the storage. So a program utility can be like executed by the user. It makes easy your backup, and it can be scheduled as well. Like then we have data compression as well. Data compression basically reduces the size of your data, so your storage takes less space. Then I have for disk defragmentation part, I'm going to send you a video and you are going to refer to that. You can do. Then I have formatting as well. Formatting will comes under this category. I have file management as well, which is used to manage your files, to synchronize your folders. Disk defragmentation. This is the video link that I'm sharing. You can check it after my class. So let's check some questions of utility software. Here is the question. For 6 marks from 2024 May June, it says that Keith wishes to ensure that his computer is at its optimum performance. Identify and describe three different types of utility softwares he should use. So you need to identify them and describe as well. This is for 6 marks. That means that you need to write 2 points for each. The answer can be this, like device driver. So you write one function and then you define it. मैक्सिमम यू आर।
सर
जी।
सर व्हाट इज मेंट बाय द फर्स्ट, लाइक डेटा कंप्रेशन टूल के बाद जो फर्स्ट लिखा है इसका क्या मतलब है?
डेटा कंप्रेशन टूल के बाद जो फर्स्ट लिखा हुआ है इधर, आ, कहाँ पे ये?
सर इसके ऊपर जो जहाँ पे वन लिखा हुआ है, फर्स्ट डेटा कंप्रेशन टूल्स,
वन के बाद
या
ये?
ये जो फर्स्ट लिखा हुआ है व्हाट इज मेंट बाय दिस?
बेटा इसका मतलब ये है कि आपके वो 6 मार्क्स के लिए सबसे पहले वो नाम देना है, और नाम देने के बाद वो 2 पॉइंट्स के लिए बताना है। तो इसमें फर्स्ट का मतलब ये है कि अगर आपने पहला नाम ये दिया तो इसके साथ आप इनमें से ये 2 मार्क्स के लिए ये आप ये लिख सकते हो। मैक्सिमम 2 मार्क्स अलाउड है और मिनिमम 1 पॉइंट लिखना ज़रूरी है। इस फर्स्ट का मतलब ये है कि यहाँ पे आपके पास ये एक नाम है। उन्होंने यहाँ पे फर्स्ट इस वजह से लिखा है क्योंकि अगर वो ब्रैकेट के अंदर वन लिख देते तो उसका मतलब ये होता कि ये लिखने से 1 मार्क हमें मिल गया, लेकिन ऐसा नहीं है। हमें मार्क इन दोनों के साथ मिलेगा जब हम ये एक साथ मिला के लिखेंगे, ये मतलब है। क्लियर है? कोई सवाल?
नो सर इट्स क्लियर।
एक क्वेश्चन ये भी है, इसमें हमें डिटेल देनी है एंटीवायरस के लिए, डेटा कंप्रेशन के लिए, डिस्क डिफ्रैगमेंटेशन के लिए। The reason I share marking scheme with you is that you will understand that how to deliver the answer for keeping in points the marks. ये एक और सवाल है 2023 में जून से। इस सवाल के अंदर कहा है कि बैकअप सॉफ्टवेयर इज अ टाइप ऑफ यूटिलिटी सॉफ्टवेयर। अ नेटवर्क मैनेजर वांट्स टू बैकअप द डेटा स्टोर्ड ऑन अ सर्वर, डिस्क्राइब विद रीजन द स्टेप्स द मैनेजर टेक्स व्हेन सेटिंग अप दिस प्रोसेस। 5 मार्क्स के लिए फिर कह रहा है कि अच्छा, इसमें सवाल कंपाइलर इंटरप्रेटर का भी है। फिर कह रहा है कि डिस्क्राइब सम ऑफ द डेटा बैकअप कंसिस्ट ऑफ ऑडियो फाइल, द नेटवर्क मैनेजर will compress these before starting the backup process. Different methods of compression can be used. Describe the method given the effect on the audio file for each method. So you first of all you need to write that manager will check the space on the target drive location to make sure there is sufficient space. ये पहला पॉइंट हो गया। उसके बाद you need to justify your answer. This is for the B part for the compression. Explain what is meant by utility softwares, why it is needed. यूटिलिटी सॉफ्टवेयर के भी बहुत सारे क्वेश्चन है पेपर में. Okay, now let's move. The next part is 2.4. Do you know the difference between them, custom written software and off-the-shelf software?
सर आई नो मतलब कि लेकिन अभी मुझे आई कांट रिमेम्बर द
देखो,
डेफिनेशन.
कस्टम रिटर्न में ये होता है कि आप किसी की रिक्वेस्ट के ऊपर आप जो है वो उसको कस्टमाइज करवा रहे हैं, जो भी आपका पीस ऑफ सॉफ्टवेयर है. और ऑफ द शेल्फ सॉफ्टवेयर आपके पास ये होता है कि आप जो है वो सॉफ्टवेयर कहीं से यूज कर रहे हो. तो फॉर एग्जांपल, इफ इट इज a custom written software, it means that it is a software that is written especially to meet the requirements of a client. So when a client requires a software, solution is the one that it will carry out for a specific purpose that is unique to their organization. So they will definitely ask for the software to be written for them. So this is known as custom written software because you are meeting the demands of the client and you want to create that piece of software. Whereas if you are using an off-the-shelf software, off-the-shelf means that you are using a software that already exists or you are purchasing it for your online use, maybe from a shop. So it is known as off-the-shelf software because the software will have been written for a general purpose. So off-the-shelf software means that this is a general purpose software that is available to a larger market as well, but you cannot make customizations into that because uh, you download it online. So custom written software is like the entire development of the software is going to be custom written, and the software is going to be meeting the client's expectation, and it is going to be expensive because it is going to be on demand. Whereas if it is an off-the-shelf software, so off-the-shelf software is spread between customers who can use it for even a lower price as well. Custom written software definitely take a longer time because you need to satisfy all of the client's requirements. Off-the-shelf software is immediately available, so the user can start using it right away. For the third part, it says that the client of the requirement of the client can meet precisely with no additional features that are not necessary. But if you're using an off-the-shelf software, maybe if you are downloading it from somewhere, so you might be having some features. So this is for the custom written and off-the-shelf software. Another example of software I have is known as a proprietary software. Now, when it is a proprietary software, this means that the software is basically owned by a person or an entity or who can sell it. So the files needed to run the software are made available when the source code is used to create the software with the owner. So different licenses can be granted to this type of software, and different licenses can be granted, like you can have freeware, shareware, single user, or multi-year. So it's basically like a Zoom subscription or maybe and Microsoft Office, something like that, because it provides you with some of the features that depends upon the use. Like even if there are users who do not want to pay, so they have the trial version of that. Then I have another example which is known as an open source software. So open source softwares are those that are provided with you the source code of the software as well. So you can edit them freely. It's totally up to you. This means that the source code that is used to create the software is available. It is distributed. It is freely accessed. So you can change it, you can share it as per your demand. Here is the question for it says a head teacher wishes to buy a software which will help him manage the finances of the school. When considering which software to buy, he has to choose between custom software and off the shelf. You need to describe the differences between them. Here is the answer. All right, so that's it for my side. We have completed